conflation. So we need to feel worthy, not when something happens and not if something happens, but right now. We need to find it within ourselves to feel deserving, to feel lovable, to feel self-acceptance. Something else that Brene Brown discovered in her research, she uses the term wholehearted people. Wholehearted people are people who have confronted their shame and worked with this sense of embracing that which they feel is abhorrent or despicable in themselves. And when we're able to do this, she suggests that we have the courage to be imperfect. Her research suggests that people who do this work find it within themselves to be compassionate towards themselves, and then they're more able to be compassionate towards others. She finds that when we do this work, we feel a greater connection to others, a greater sense of authenticity in ourselves and with ourselves. We let go of this idea of who we should be, and we embrace who we are right now. And then we continue to grow, perhaps towards that aspirational idea of who we long to be, but without berating ourselves for not being there just yet. And she found in her work that with this work around shame, that it's necessary really to embrace vulnerability. And what do I mean by vulnerability? It's acknowledging those parts of ourselves that we feel are abhorrent or repulsive. It's being able to do things that make us feel sometimes anxious, like we're out on a limb, to say to someone we care about, I love you, before we know whether they're going to return that affection. To do something where we have no guarantees of success. To invest in a relationship that may or may not work out. To try something in our life that we don't know whether we'll succeed or not. To take a risk. But it begins by really, really working with this idea of accepting ourselves just as we are. And that allows us to continue this path, this journey of becoming. So it's interesting to think that as imperfect beings, we're deserving of love and belonging right now. We are imperfect and we're deserving of love and belonging. Not we're imperfect, but we're deserving. We're imperfect and we're deserving of love and belonging right now. To do this work of self-compassion, practicing self-compassion, is really to know that right now I'm enough. It's not sometime in the future, sometime when I have some wonderful, great mystical experience, or I'm surrounded by people who appreciate and admire me. That's not, it's right now. Deserving of love and knowing I am enough. So among the things that Brené Brown discovered in her research is that when we do this work, we take time to rest. We take time to play. We feel trusting of life and of others in our life, and perhaps more trusting of ourselves to be able to ride the waves, the ups and downs of life. We have greater faith, and we work on our experience of being more and more authentic in relation to ourselves, but also in relation to others. We love, and we feel joy, and we feel gratitude, and we're creative. The things that stifle this self-compassion and really work against us are drives for perfection, numbing ourselves out to the life that we're living right now, looking for some sort of certainty, feeling exhausted, feeling like we have to be self-sufficient, that we can't ask for help or lean on others, trying to be cool, trying to fit in, being self-judgmental again, and feeling a sense of scarcity rather than abundance. So the things that we can really cultivate in terms of this work of being more self-accepting and less judgmental and giving ourselves a break are things we talk about here at the temple time and again. Resting, playing, enjoying life as it is, having a sense of belonging, feeling gratitude, and being creative with this life of ours. I'd like to invite you to, again, assume a good, comfortable and relaxed meditative posture. And once again, if you haven't already, just gently close your eyes. And again, you can take a few deep breaths and sort of settle in. Notice the body, the mind quieting. I'd like you to recall something in your life, something you've said or done that you feel was a good action. Float back in your life and recall some time that you were generous, or that you were caring or contributed to someone's well-being. Just allow yourself to be with that experience if something comes to mind. Allow yourself to feel the happiness that may come with the remembrance of that experience. If nothing comes to mind, gently turn your attention to some quality, some aspect of yourself that you really appreciate, that you really like about yourself. Is there an ability or a strength within you that you can recognize and really appreciate? If still nothing comes to mind, reflect on the urge that you may have toward happiness, that you experience and notice the rightness and the beauty of that urge. In any of these reflections, even if you feel impatient or annoyed or fearful, see if you can stay with the reflection without judgment of yourself or the process of this meditation. Recalling some good deed and feeling the happiness or the joy in remembering that. Or noticing some aspect of yourself, some quality, some characteristic that you appreciate and value. And opening to that, embracing it, feeling it. Or noticing your impulse, your urge to lead a happy life, to experience happiness, and really embracing the beauty of that urge, of that longing. And in our meditation, the core of our practice is to let go of whatever has taken us away from our intended object and to begin again, over and over, again and again. So if you find yourself drawn away from your remembrance, your recollection of a good deed, or drawn away from that quality that you appreciate about yourself, or drawn away from your aspiration for happiness and the beauty of that aspiration, simply return, come back to the focus of your meditation. Once again, Shanti. Sometimes it can be hard to remember the good within us. We have this, in psychology, we call it a negativity bias. We sort of, there's actual research on this, we sort of magnify the negative things in our lives such that we have to have 5 positive things to equal 1 negative thing. And so when you go in for your annual review with your boss, if you have to do that, if the boss is informed, they'll try to have 5 or maybe 10 positive things and 1 point of growth. And when you leave that meeting, what do you think stands out to you?
Yeah.
It's that one criticism, that one area of growth. We're really gravitated towards our imperfections. We're really drawn to them like a magnet. And so what I've tried to convey today is, let's open up to them. Let's find love and compassion for those parts of ourselves that indeed are imperfect. We're in this human realm, and it's not a realm of perfection. And if we spend our lives trying to hide ourselves and those parts of us that we think are abhorrent or repulsive, our lives can become very, very small. So in the week ahead, I'd like to encourage you to really give yourself a break, to take some time, like we've taken today, either to recall something that you feel is an inadequacy, a shortcoming, something that you feel is imperfect about yourself. And see if you can turn towards it, open up to it, embrace it, and perhaps even surround it with that golden white light of unconditional love. And see if you can do that maybe once a day in the coming week. And also this other practice of thinking about the good parts of yourself and spending some time recalling something, some good deed that you've done, some act of generosity or unselfishness that you've shown to another. And see if you can stay with that for a few minutes, to be with that experience, that recollection or that remembrance. And if you have a hard time finding an experience like that, then look for something that you appreciate about yourself. Look for a characteristic or a quality that you can really feel good about. And see if you can just be with that for a few minutes, perhaps once a day this week. And in this experiment of the week, notice what happens. Notice what happens if you show love towards that part of you that you think is inadequate or imperfect or even repulsive. And if you spend some time with a good quality, a good characteristic of yourself, see what happens. Notice whether you have more energy and vitality, or whether you become complacent and resigned. Notice whether your heart opens and whether you're feeling more loving, or whether you feel a greater sense of inadequacy. What I'm asking us to do is challenge this idea that being hard on ourselves makes us a better person. that being so self-judgmental and so self-critical actually improves our life. And so I hope with good faith you'll enter into this experiment in this week ahead. And just take a little time each day and show love towards those parts that you feel don't measure up. And take some time to recollect and be with those experiences where you've shown love or done something good and unselfish for another, or open up to a quality or a characteristic, an aspect of your life experience that you appreciate, and just be with it. See what happens, and see if there's a happier, lighter week ahead, or if indeed you fall into some place of complacency and resignation where you just say, I'm good enough. There's no need to do anything further. I'll just kick back and go to sleep. This is a very, I think it's a very challenging subject for a lot of us. It's deeply instilled in us that we have to be hard on ourselves to improve. And I'm asking you to really challenge that idea and see if you can be more loving and more self-compassionate. More loving towards yourself, that's where it starts. And more self-compassionate. And to give yourself a break, not to forget if you've done something that you regret or something that you feel remorse about, but to see it as an act that you committed rather than some fundamental aspect of who you are. So thank you for coming today, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving week. Shall we end with the Om Shanti mantra? Shanti. And thank you for coming today and sharing your energies. I wish you a very, very happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.